Yo, what's up? This is Selah the Corner, God over money, and you're listening to Testimony, a musician story.
What? 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 New York, where I come from. Why yo with my head lay? Bring me the word, I'm like Damu. I gotta do what the Reds say. Making sure that my head low. Faith high, walk right. Black man life, reverse full count. Got your 2 balls and 3 strikes. Bump that, student of the game. Believe I learned my lesson. Never starstruck, I feel right at home whenever I'm addressing. All my fam know what it is, and all my enemies is guessing. Never nothing on my chest, I never front. I know I'm blessed, but I digress.
Selah the Corner was born Nathaniel Martinez on February 19th, 1985 in Yonkers, New York. He and his little brother would have to deal with the stress of the street crews on their way to the market and school. The south side of Yonkers was pretty tough, but he can always find respite at home.
You heard that? Tell me where it came from. Just another summer night in Wyo. You heard that? Tell me where it came from. Just another summer night in Wyo. You heard that? Tell me where it came from. Just another summer night in Wyo. It's brown skin on my bio. Make the pigs fire like a pyro. We don't never cry though. Lighten up the dark Lago. It don't really matter, they shooting in broad daylight. 4/5 on they hip when they play fight. Cause most of them killers is waist tight. Real talk. My city is a war zone. Peace be the enemy when you callin' the war home. And drug sales be the seed where the war sown. No rims whenever they store chrome. I know God the only answer to communists. So I see God in every eye of the fatherless. But we don't want your pity. Just somebody pray for my city.
Nathaniel was the only kid he knew who was raised by both his parents. He says it was both a blessing and a curse. Because he was different, he felt like an outsider. And the fatherless boys he knew were so hurt that they didn't know their fathers that they ridiculed him. Not only did he have both his parents, but both his parents are pastors.
My mother is the one who brought my father to Christ when they originally met, and she ended up being pastor before him. So that was a crazy dynamic for me to understand because, my father was unequivocal, king, priest, and prophet in the house. Like, there was no doubt about that. And my mother always yielded and submitted to him as the king. And that situation stayed intact even when she became his pastor. So like in the church, he would yield to her as, a congregant and as a servant and as a helper. But when we got home, he was king. And it was just beautiful how I saw the balance happen. But she was pastor before him. He became pastor with her, I think about 5 years down the road after she became pastor. And they're co-pastors now. They've been co-pastoring for about almost 10 years now.
Never playing when I say this, yeah. Looking at the day with a praise, I'm amazed that we got here. A whole lot of shame in the game, to the fame that we not here. A whole lot of pain in the game, to the rain that we out here. They said that we never would see the day though. I see the sun rays of the day through the shade when I pray though. Life, what I went through, that graveyard life could have been you. It's not that I can't see, I just seen what the king do. Somebody take a bunch of rose petals and throw them over a stone tomb. Let a song play for the day, make way to the throne room. Chariot those skies, peace to the war cries, sight through the Lord's eyes, hail to the sunrise.
I'm sure you know pastors get it too, and we have a reputation. A lot of people may not understand why a lot of us are the way we are. The fact of the matter is that depending on what age you became a pastor's kid, you could potentially have been feeling like a prisoner for the last 15, 20 years of your life. And it's not because your parents did anything wrong. It's not because God is wrong. It's because there's a there's a behavior that you're expected to be. There's a way you're supposed to act constantly because you're representing your parents, and your parents represent your ministry. So as a child, you're looking at a 5-year-old potentially representing an entire ministry. And that's a lot of weight on someone's shoulders. You have to filter out what you say. You have to internalize a lot of anger. You have to, censor yourself constantly. And with me, it was fine until I was about 17. I just kind of blew up. I just was so angry. Add on to the fact that I felt my parents were taken away from me by the church, and felt like a lot of my childhood suffered because, at 3 a.m. when I had a nightmare and I wanted to talk to my mom and my dad, sometimes mom and dad was on the phone with somebody who was dying in the hospital, praying with them and trying to comfort them. And it's fine. You understand as a young child, the ministry comes first, and that stops you from even asking your parents to choose between you and the ministry, because you love them and they love the ministry. So you don't even ask them. So but doing that 20, 30 times, when it's all said and done and you're a grown man, you're like, yo, I let these people take my family away from me. And that's a negative way to look at it. And that's the negative way that I did look at it. So with me personally, I 100% rebelled against the church when I became of age because, well, that was one of the reasons that I did that. I mean, when I got a car and when I didn't have to be in the house by 10 o'clock anymore, I didn't go back to church. I mean, I dabbled. I'd come, the holidays and stuff just to get my mother off my case. I was in the streets already by that time. So I stayed in the streets longer because I didn't have curfew anymore. Did a lot of negative things, connected with a lot of negative people, and it was different with me because of and that's another interesting aspect of being a pastor's kid. You learn how to organize your sins so well because you realize how important it is that no one ever finds out anything. So I had everything on, strict times. Like I knew I was going to be in the streets for this long. I knew I was going to do this amount of drugs for this long, and what time I would need to be sober, and had the Visine and the cologne and everything ready to go all the time. So I was very organized with my sin, and and I just perfected my negative craft in that aspect, and I kept it going, and it led down to a really negative path for me, like a really dark path where I ended up like contemplating suicide, contemplating just leaving it all behind because I was just so angry and sad.
Okay. I saw you through the rain, but can you see me through the pain? Through it all, you were all, but love is gone without a trace, and you were all I needed for, but now your love is gone away. I'm broken.
When I started contemplating the end, I was in college. Because one thing I didn't let was my grades slip. Like all the, I never was one of them street guys that dropped out of school or sell drugs and stuff like that. No, I sold drugs between classes. You know what I'm saying? I never missed class. I was always on high honor rolls, so I got into college relatively easily. And but during my early sophomore year, I was just asking myself, what is it all for? And that was that dark place, that I needed to have, prayer on deck. But because I was so disconnected from my foundation, like I didn't have anywhere else to reach out to, and I was too prideful to tell my parents how bad I was. I felt like I didn't have a purpose when I was in school, because I'm taking these classes. I'm in these, I'm in this major university, and Stony Brook University. It's in Long Island. And I'm in these classes, and I'm taking these classes, and I'm writing these notes down, and I enjoy the subject, and I enjoy the major that I'm going for, but it isn't me, and I know it isn't me. So it's like, all right, education pretty much isn't my passion. I've lost my faith at that point, and I'm a popular guy at school, so I have friends, but it's not doing it for me. Like I feel hollow. I feel empty. So I started just writing. I wrote a letter to God. Actually, it was like a resignation letter to God, like that I was resigning from life, and that would have been my like suicide letter. I was sincere in my writing, but I mean, thinking about it now, I think about how arrogant I was to think that I could give God a resignation letter. But in the resignation letter, I'm telling him about all the things that didn't happen for me, that should have happened for me. When you're talking about God and what He's done for you, at some point you have to acknowledge how good He's been as well. I mean, it's inevitable. So in the letter, I'm saying, even though you gave me two parents, they couldn't be around because of the ministry. But then I sat back and I'm like, wow, I forgot that He did give me two parents, and I was the only one that I knew with two parents. All right, my dad stayed in my life. I was the only one who I knew that had his father in his life. I grew up in a relatively nice home, a whole home, with good values. And by the end of the letter, it was just like, all right, I'm acknowledging everything that God had done for me. And I'm just like, you know what? Thank you for everything you did for me. Just help me out of this situation. And it turned from a resignation letter to a cry for help. And, after I finished the letter, I felt a peace that I hadn't felt since I was a child. So I wrote another letter the next day, another letter, and it turned into like 12 or 15 letters. Some of them I made songs and put them on projects. That's when I realized, like, music, writing, expression, that is my purpose. That's why I felt that peace. That's what I was looking for. So, and people joke around by saying rap saved my life. Rap didn't save my life. God gave me the tools by which to save my life by giving me writing. Because I always could express myself, but I didn't know writing was my thing until I was in that really, really dark place.
Selah is signed to Bizzle's God Over Money Records. Bizzle's claim to fame was his Jay-Z diss track, a track that Selah took issue with. What could have turned into a big Christian hip-hop beef resulted in a brotherhood and a record deal for Selah.
It go down when it go up. Woo. You and him ain't never pay the same. You and him ain't never go Dutch. Woo. Netherlands, never land. Y'all ain't never grow up. Woo. I'm fitter than a fiddle. All that monkey in the middle better slow up. I'm riding through my city. Everybody coming with me. I'ma be there in a jiffy. All I hear is murder, murder, murder. But you never murder nothing. Nothing ever getting murdered. All I hear is burner, burner, burner. But your homie only got it. You ain't never got the burn. Talking about you be up in the garden, but your people never planted. You ain't never got the turn. I done seen it all, and I can see the writing on the wall. Good God, oh Lord. Y'all ain't never nothing but a replay. Yeah, I heard it all before, man. Y'all ain't say nothing but a cliche. Tell me again, who the best, huh? I'm all ears. I'm all ears. That ain't nothing but a cliche. 914 to the door close. I take it to the bank that the team will never foreclose. You be on that shoulda, woulda, coulda. You a killer, but you probably wear the flannel with the footy. Pushing 50, but you looking like you banging with a hoodie. You the youngin' at the heart. You a oldie, but a goodie, right? Right? No. Tell rap, say hi to the other guy. I tell my youngin' with the onion that the grass ain't greener on the other side. Ain't loving never blind when you looking at the tears that the mother cry. Everybody want a bullet, but don't nobody ever wanna bite the bullet. Good God, oh Lord. Y'all ain't never nothing but a replay. Yeah, I heard it all before, man. Y'all ain't saying nothing but a cliche. Tell me again, who the best, huh? I'm all ears. I'm all ears. That ain't nothing but a cliche.
I had just started writing seriously, and people were taking notice at that point. I mean, in my city and in the surrounding cities about me rapping and stuff like that. And I was just sitting one day chilling, and one of my boys who was not saved at all, hit me up and was like, "Yo, you gotta go to this website. You gotta go to YouTube right now. This Christian rapper, he's just like you, right? You Christian rap. This Christian rapper just dissed Jay-Z, and it's all over the place." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Wow." And I knew how powerful it had to have been for him to tell me about it. So I knew it was a real widespread thing. So I went to the YouTube page, and I was terrified, because it would be one thing if he was dissing Jay-Z and he was mediocre. But Biz dissed Jay-Z and he was flawless. I mean, everything, delivery, punchlines, schemes, everything. It was just, everything was on the table. And that's what frightened me, because if he wasn't so good, it wouldn't have mattered to me. And that was kind of my hypocrisy as well. Now I look at it, being older, a lot of it had to do with ego as well as concern. Because the ego side of it was, wow, this guy's too dope. He's going to get out there and he's going to change the game in a way that I don't want him to change the game. And then the concern portion should have been greater than the ego, but wasn't, was Jay-Z's still a person too, and Christ died for him as well. So my logic is, if your Christian rap saves the entire planet out of 6 billion people, but one of those isn't Sean Carter because of your rap, then you failed. Because Christ died for all of us. In response to that, I did a record to this disclaimer that's been deleted for about a good 5+ years. Lyrically, I went crazy, but it was just so disgusting. Like, now that I think about it, and I thought about it recently, it was just so disgusting how arrogant I was speaking to him. Especially with the heart that I had. It's funny, like when you can be so convinced that you're doing the right thing that you forget, how much you need to grow in certain areas. So it's like a child, painting on the Mona Lisa, thinking that, his mom will like it. I did a little showcase in Brooklyn a couple of months afterward, and Lavoisier was there. And I didn't know who he was. And you know how Lavoisier is, with the bully face and the bully talk, and I didn't know who he was. So I mean, I'm still a street dude, rapping, and he walks up to me, and he's like, "Yo, what's up, man? You know who I am?" That was the first words he said to me. And I was like, "No, I don't know who you are, man. What's up?" He's like, "I'm Lavoisier." I was like, "All right, what's up, man?" He's like, "Yeah, man. Can we talk outside?" I was like, "All right, sure." I didn't know what he was trying to say or what he wanted to do, so I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Bizzle's man." I was like, "Oh, okay." And we just proceeded to argue for like 2 hours straight on a Brooklyn street. As much as I knew I was making sense to him about Christ loving all of us, he made sense to me in that he was saying, Selah, you're coming at Bizzle for dissing Jay-Z, but you're coming at Bizzle the same way he's dissing Jay-Z. So it's hypocritical. You can't teach him not to do something by doing what he did to him. And I was like, I had to respect that, because he was right. He was right. I used the exact same weapon that I was condemning him for. We left that conversation amicably and with respect for one another. And we kept in touch. I deleted the record, and I put out Hoodie Season 1. And he hit me up a short time later and was like, "Yo, Biz likes Hoodie Season 1. And I was like, "All right, cool, tell him thanks." He's like, No, he really likes it. He wants to talk to you." And so we finally spoke on the phone, and I apologized for everything, and we had a good conversation, and he signed me, and the rest is history.
Selah the Corner signed a GOM years ago and dropped his mixtape Hoodie Season 2 in 2014. Now, I personally have been waiting for his debut album for what seems like years now. Finally, Selah released his debut GOM album, Memoirs of a Perfect World. What the heck took so long?
PK in the worst way. Thursday from the birthday. Living water what they nurse made. Still I'm living with a curse in the worst way. From the first day, just after the hump like Thursday. No patience, no wait, trying to get a piece on the first date. The worst case be the one that you get when you clap beat, but you ain't got a strap when you rap deep. Marathon turn into a track meet when you start to hear the music in the backseat. A bunch of y'all still in my rear view. Be lying if I said if I feel you, but God proved they don't never really feel you till they kill you. And that's real, dude. When I tell you that rap can't heal you, it's all smoke, it's all mirrors, all the coke, dope dealers in the jungle with the gorillas. Y'all spitting them dope fillers, y'all playing like cold killers. Just know, hellfire got no triggers, hip hop got no feelings, dark light got no dealers. A lot of these cats that sold millions still broke, speak clear and still choke. And these be the cats I still quote. I still grind, can't walk on water but I still float. Y'all make a rap god is the real joke, real smoke. Faster than a speeding bullet, strong as a locomotive. Now I can't stop a bullet.
The album isn't a mixtape. My album is, to me, mixtapes are the most fun to do because there's a freedom in it. You just do whatever you want. My album is like a sermon that you got to study for, and you have to listen, and you have to strategize, and you have to prepare. And I wasn't ready to make one because I was in mixtape mode mentally. My album is much more than an album to me. The way I created it is, I wanted every track to be a movie, and then the entire album to be a movie. So you're talking about there's 17 tracks, 18 tracks on the album. So you're talking about 18 movies that connect to make one big movie. That's a lot of that complexity takes time. And, but I believe people would be pleased with that, with the outcome. And I'm sorry I made y'all wait so long and made you wait so long. Believe me, there's nothing more, nails on the chalkboard to a rapper than not rapping. It was killing me to not do this constantly, but you can't do over a debut album, and the people deserved that level. So I'm glad I took the time, and I'm glad it's finally finished. The title is Memoirs of a Perfect World. And, you know how Memoirs is memories. So, there is no such thing as a perfect world. So basically the album is me talking about all my delusions. Me giving the listener all the misunderstandings I had about life. About rap, about love, about money, about, everything, social interaction, about church. I have a track on there about being a pastor's kid called Debt Collection. I have a track about being an introvert called Introvert. I have a track, about music. That's the cliche track that we released recently. So every record is an illusion that I had about life that God gave me clarity on. So that's the theme. It's me telling these people, if you want my entire life, mistake-wise and correction-wise, this is the album for you.
Trying to maintain now. Loud back, only way to turn my brain down. Fuck, I light it. Piece of my light, the flame, one and the same now. Yeah, I know I'm a pawn, but I'm in the game now. Smoke will erase the pain now, at least I thought so. I stay calm in my nightmares, comfortable when I'm right there. But when I wake, yo, I'm tight there. There's light there, gotta fight there. I pray to Christ in my night prayers. I don't wanna go like this, but looking as I write this, see somebody walking in the room looking at me like this, like this, like this. Puff on the magic dragon. Puff on the magic dragon. Every time I roll up, they gon' holla roll up. Then I holla hold up. We ain't got no dust. Nigga dollar pull up. We can go up. Yeah, shown up. Quick, call me before I pick the phone up. Hold up, hold up, hold up. I get high to get sober.
Selah anticipated that hypotenuse would be a controversial topic. After all, he does mention weed on a Christian hip-hop album. Christians getting high is becoming a popular topic within the culture. Knowing this, is a touchy subject. Selah released a mini documentary explaining the song.
Breaking up when I wake up, OJ and that shake up. Piff up till I cool down, then it's time to get caked up. Got a lot of rays that I baked up from my childhood. And you can get pop from the dead stock, see the dead drop from the trees in my hood. And why hood kinda turn you into a zombie. Enemies all around me, anger issues. A small smirk could really mean you trying to clown me, or even trying to surround me. Puff pass first, cause if I don't have it with my automatic, it's possible I could blast first. We blast first, Lord. I don't wanna get high, to get sober, need your light. Don't wanna correlate the real sunlight with this pip older. My watch tell me I'ma get older, never wanna cope like this. But looking as I write this, see somebody walking in the room looking at me like this, like this, like this. Puff on the magic dragon.
I released a mini doc to answer a lot of questions, but apparently it didn't. For some people, Hypotenuse is about idolatry, pure and simple. I didn't want to really trigger people when it came to the is weed okay or is it not debate. But what isn't up for debate is my reliance on something other than God for my peace. And that was the point of it. My hypotenuse was weed. Somebody else's hypotenuse might be food. Somebody else's hypotenuse might be that cup of coffee in the morning that you have to have or you're not going to be a nice person. Whatever it is that you need in your life other than God to make you okay is your hypotenuse. And that was the purpose of the song, to tell people, to examine yourself and figure out and be honest with yourself about what you rely on other than God heavily. Even if it seems innocent to you, it's not innocent to God. I mean, the name is a trigger, the way I did the title, hypotenuse. And then I'm talking about marijuana, and I released it on 420. I knew all of that was going to happen, but I knew the discussion about idolatry needed to happen as well, because there's so many things that we think are minuscule in God's eyes, and we overlook them, and we shouldn't. My perspective is simple. When you walk into a man's house and he tells you to take off your shoes, if you want to be in that man's house, you need to operate by what his rules are. And that doesn't make him a bad person, and it doesn't make your rights infringed upon. It just means you have to take off your shoes if you want to stay in the house. When it comes to marijuana usage, I'm real simple with it. The Bible talks about eating for strength and not for drunkenness. So if the Bible correlates eating too much and gluttony with drunkenness, if you're going to hold marijuana to the same standard that you hold, sin, then you have to hold gluttony to that same level as well. So it's like, all right, if you want to condemn somebody for smoking weed, be willing to be condemned for eating a Big Mac. Like, make it fair. If it's not fair across the board, then it's not good. I'm ordered to respect authority and respect the law. So biblically, I'm mandated not to do this in New York. But aside from man's laws, I think it's about what your personal convictions are as a Christian. If you have the discernment of the Lord in your heart, and you know that God is not cool with you smoking weed, then even though somebody else may not have that discernment, that doesn't make it okay for you. Like, if you feel conviction while you're doing it, then it's not okay for you, and you need to not do it. But I'm not going as far as to condemning anyone for doing it. There's a lot of opinions about it, but me personally, I feel like we have a situation in this country where an obscene amount of people are obese, have diabetes, high blood pressure. An obscene amount of people die from drunken driving and cirrhosis of the liver. An obscene amount of people die from lung cancer and tobacco usage. Why aren't we so angry about those things that are killing people that we are about marijuana, who hasn't killed anyone? I'm really just like on a neutral plane. I'm about discernment. What is your heart telling you? What is your connection with God showing you? And I just go from there.
I just wanna get it when I see paper. It's God over money, but I need paper to be safer. It's a peacemaker. Scratch that, I need a peacemaker. Click clack, no gift wrap. Whoever stand front and gon' sit back. Whoever send shots getting hit back. To Mom Deuce got a view like a screensaver. I'ma chase green till I bleed paper. Sound stupid, clown foolish, live on border, sound fluid. Street language, I sound fluid. Tree of life, my crown rooted. I don't never follow where the dough go, but at the same time, it's much easier saying that God over money when you broke though. Being broke though, that's a no-go. My supply above high. King of peace is my prince when doves cry. Otherwise, I would be a dark spot. Cops at the door with a hard knock, cause my heart stopped. A twin Glocks, 2 4s of a ball is like a shot clock. Not me, I stay looking for that king El Shaddai like a magi. Sit up under my hero, but still laugh loud like a bad guy. God who I still quote, still grind. Can't walk on the water, but I still float. Y'all making money, God is the real joke, real smoke.
Memoirs of a Perfect World is out now. And Selah has teased that more videos and documentaries are on the way.
I can't save you, I'm no Superman. Money, no Superman. Hip-hop, never no Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, strong as a locomotive. No, I can't stop a bullet, but yeah, I can reload it. I can't save you, I'm no Superman. Money, no Superman. Hip-hop, never no Superman.
Thank you for listening to Testimony, a musician's story. To hear this episode again, as well as past episodes, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Brown, Theory, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.